All right, let's do it. Today, we are going to take a deep dive into agile leadership.
Sounds good.
We've got this McKinsey article. It's called Transformation Starts with Agile Leadership. And it's really got me thinking
Oh, yeah.
about how the world is changing so fast and, how can anyone possibly lead when everything's in constant flux?
It is a great article.
Yeah.
What I found so fascinating
Yeah.
is how it compares traditional organizations
Hmm.
to those massive, like, cruise ships, right? Like, they're built for stability and they kind of have this set path.
Right. Smooth sailing.
Yeah, exactly.
Predictable.
Yeah, predictable, steady course.
Yeah.
And then it contrasts that with agile organizations, which are more like, those nimble speedboats,
Oh, I like that.
zipping around, dodging obstacles, able to change direction like that.
Okay, yeah, that's a great visual. You're right. It's not about, calm seas anymore. It's like
Right.
whitewater rapids out there.
Exactly.
So how did companies even begin to make that shift?
Yeah. Well, the article really zeroes in on leadership and company culture as being the biggest obstacles, but also the biggest drivers of
Interesting.
becoming truly agile.
So you're saying leaders can't just sit back and hope for the best.
No, they got to be out there in the rapids, steering the boat.
Right, they're the ones navigating those choppy waters.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
They can't just, sit back and relax.
But what does it actually mean for a leader to go agile? Right? It seems like it's got to be more than just like learning new software or
Yeah.
using a different project management method.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
It's not just about tactics, it's a whole mindset shift.
Okay.
And the article actually lays out 3 major mindset shifts
Okay.
that are essential for anyone.
I'm ready to lay 'em on me.
Okay, so the first one
Yeah.
is shifting from certainty
Mm.
to discovery.
Certainty to discovery. All right, break that down for me.
All right, so think about the old way of doing things.
Okay.
Leaders, they'd spend all this time trying to map out every single detail, minimize risk.
Right. Got to avoid those unknowns.
Yeah, stick to the plan no matter what.
Right.
It's like trying to navigate
Yeah.
with your eyes glued to a map, never looking up to see what's actually around you.
So this agile world, you can't really be that rigid.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You need to adapt.
Oh, yeah.
So with this certainty to discovery shift,
Yeah.
agile leaders, they're all about experimenting,
Oh, interesting.
being open to different ideas and even admitting when they don't have all the answers.
They're comfortable not knowing everything.
Exactly. They're constantly scanning the horizon, gathering information,
Yeah.
and then adjusting their course based on what they're learning.
So it's less about like predicting the future
Right?
and more about being ready to respond to whatever comes their way.
You got it. Embracing uncertainty, seeing it as an opportunity to learn and innovate.
Okay.
Like, take Spotify, for example.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They're famous for their fail fast approach.
I have heard of that.
They encourage their teams to, experiment, launch new features quickly, see what works. If it doesn't, they just learn from it and move on.
So they're not afraid to make mistakes as long as they learn from them.
No blame. Just constant iteration.
Okay, I like that. That's a pretty different approach than what we're used to seeing,
It is different.
Yeah, in a lot of more traditional companies.
Right.
Okay, so that's certainty to discovery.
That's the first one.
What about the second mindset shift? From authority to partnership?
Oh.
I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Does that mean everyone gets to be the captain now?
Well, not exactly.
Oh,
It's
oh.
not about like everyone calling all the shots, but it is about recognizing that the best ideas can come from anywhere.
Mhm.
So instead of that traditional, top down, do as I say kind of leadership.
Right, command and control.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agile leaders, they're all about fostering collaboration and empowering their teams
Okay.
to make decisions and really take ownership of their work.
So it's less about barking orders
Right.
and more about creating an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered.
Absolutely. Think of it like a jazz band.
Oh, okay.
You've got the lead musician,
Yeah.
but everyone has the space to improvise, contribute their own unique skills.
I love that analogy.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's from authority to partnership.
that's number 2.
What about number 3, that shift from scarcity to abundance?
Oh, that's a good one.
This one really piqued my interest.
This is all about moving away from that fixed pie mentality.
Oh, yeah, like there are only limited resources.
Exactly, that there's only so much to go around.
Only one slice of pizza left, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Agile leaders, though, they embrace an abundance mindset.
Okay.
They believe there are always new opportunities to be created, new ways to add value,
Hmm.
and that collaboration, not competition, is the key to unlocking that potential.
So the pie can actually get bigger if everyone works together.
Exactly.
That's pretty powerful.
It's not a zero-sum game.
Right, right.
Like, think about open source software, for example.
Oh, yeah.
You have developers from all over the world
Mm-hmm.
collaborating, sharing their code and their expertise
Yeah.
to create these incredible tools and technologies.
Like they're not hoarding knowledge.
No, they're collectively expanding the pie for everyone's benefit.
I like that. It's a very different way of thinking about things.
Yeah,
Okay, those are some really compelling mindset shifts.
they are foundational.
Yeah, but I'm curious, how do they actually play out, when it comes to leading a team on a day-to-day basis?
Right, you need the practical application.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, the article dives into that too.
Okay, good.
It outlines 3 key leadership skills that are, essential for putting those mindset shifts into action.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so the first one is building diverse, empowered, and connected teams.
Right, building diverse, empowered, and connected teams. There. Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like,
So first, when we talk about diversity,
Yeah.
it's not just about, checking boxes.
Right.
It's about recognizing that different perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
they bring real richness to a team.
They can challenge each other's assumptions.
And come up with innovative solutions.
Yeah.
So you want people who will challenge each other.
feel comfortable doing that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the empowerment piece.
Yeah.
That's about, actually giving teams the autonomy to make decisions.
Right.
And take ownership of their work.
Trusting them to do the work.
Trusting your team, giving them the resources they need,
Yeah.
providing the support,
Yeah.
and then stepping back and letting them shine.
Stepping back. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the connected part? Is that making sure everyone's on the same page, communicating well?
It is about communication and collaboration, but it's also about connecting those teams to the bigger picture.
Okay.
How does their work tie into the overall goals?
Yeah.
How does it impact the customer?
Right, breaking down those silos.
Exactly, fostering a sense of shared purpose.
Okay, I like that. So skill number 2, facilitating rapid work cycles for faster value delivery.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds like it's all about speed and efficiency.
It is about working smarter, not just harder.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Instead of trying to, climb a mountain all in one go,
Yeah.
you break it down into smaller, more manageable base camps.
Okay.
That's what agile teams do,
Right.
They use methods like Scrum or Kanban.
Oh, okay, I've heard those terms thrown around.
Right, they're popular frameworks.
But I'm not really sure what they are, to be honest.
Yeah, it can be confusing.
Can you explain it a little more, how they actually work?
Sure. So Scrum, for example,
Yeah.
breaks down work into these short sprints.
Okay.
They're usually 2 weeks long.
Okay, so like mini deadlines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The team focuses on a specific set of tasks. They collaborate closely,
Okay.
and they deliver a working product, increment at the end of each sprint.
So you're celebrating those wins along the way
Exactly.
instead of waiting for one giant launch.
Right.
Yeah.
And that way, by delivering value in those shorter cycles, teams can get feedback sooner, adapt to changing needs,
Yeah.
and ultimately create a better product or service.
Okay, that makes sense. So Scrum is more like time-boxed.
Yeah.
And what about Kanban? How's that different?
Kanban is more about visualizing the workflow
Okay.
and limiting the number of tasks in progress at any given time.
Oh, okay.
It's like having a visual board where you can see what's being worked on, what's blocked,
Oh, interesting.
what's coming next.
Okay.
It helps teams stay organized, identify bottlenecks, and optimize their workflow.
So Scrum is more time-based and Kanban's more flow-based.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I like that.
And they both can be really helpful,
Yeah.
depending on the type of work and the team's needs.
Right, different tools for different situations.
Exactly.
And the leader needs to figure out which one's the best fit.
Right. The leader's job is to understand those strengths and guide the team to choose the right one for them.
Okay, so that's skill number 2.
Yep.
And then number 3, keeping teams focused on the customer.
Right. A crucial one.
Yeah, that seems kind of obvious, but why is it so crucial in this, agile leadership context?
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day whirlwind of things.
Right.
Yeah, lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah, you get tunnel vision.
Exactly. And agile leaders, they need to be constantly reminding their teams
Yeah.
why they're doing what they're doing
Yeah.
and who they're ultimately serving.
Okay, so whether it's an internal or external customer,
Mm-hmm.
the focus needs to be on, really understanding and meeting their needs.
Yes, exactly.
But how do you do that?
Well, the article mentions two tools that are really helpful: design thinking and business model innovation.
Oh, okay. I've heard those terms before.
Yeah, they're powerful concepts.
But I'd love to hear more about, what they mean and how agile leaders can use them.
Okay. All right. So, design thinking, first of all,
Yeah.
is all about understanding the customer's journey,
Okay.
their pain points, their unmet needs.
Hmm.
It's about really stepping into their shoes and designing solutions
Yeah.
that address those challenges.
So it's not just about creating something cool or flashy. It's about actually solving a real problem for the customer.
Exactly. It involves empathy, observation, and creative problem solving.
Okay.
A great example is Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
They use design thinking to figure out why people weren't comfortable
Yeah.
staying in strangers' homes.
Yeah, it's a new concept.
Totally new.
Yeah.
And then they design their platform
Yeah.
to address those concerns.
By building in trust and transparency.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
cool.
they created a whole new market for travel experiences.
Yeah, they totally disrupted the industry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's design thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What about business model innovation? What's that all about?
So that's about constantly looking for, new and better ways to create and deliver value.
Okay.
Challenging assumptions, experimenting with different approaches,
Yeah.
being willing to adapt your business model
Mhm.
to meet evolving customer needs.
Right, because the world keeps changing.
And the market keeps changing.
Yeah.
A great example of this is Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They totally disrupted the video rental industry.
Right. They went from, those brick and mortar stores to
Became
streaming.
a subscription-based streaming service.
And it totally changed the way we watch movies and TV.
Totally revolutionized it.
And they keep evolving and adding new features and
They're not standing still.
no, they're not.
They're constantly adapting.
Yeah, okay. So they're embodying that business model innovation.
They're a great example of it.
Yeah.
And they're staying relevant in a rapidly changing world.
Okay. So far we've talked about how leaders transform themselves and their teams.
Right.
But what about transforming an entire organization?
Yeah, that's the big one.
Where do you even begin with that?
That's where the real challenge lies.
Yeah.
But the article provides, kind of a roadmap.
Okay.
It outlines 3 key organizational level skills
Okay.
that leaders need to develop.
All years.
All right. So the first one is defining a shared, inspiring purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the North Star of the organization.
Oh, I like that. The North Star. Okay.
It's a powerful image.
It
And in an agile organization, this North Star,
Yeah.
it can't just be dictated from the top down. It has
Mhm.
to be discovered through dialogue conversations with
Okay.
people at all levels.
So everyone feels connected to it.
Exactly. It's about finding that common thread that connects everyone's work
Yeah.
to a larger goal,
Mhm.
something that gives their efforts meaning.
It's like their guiding light.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Then the second skill is designing the organization
Oh, dear.
using agile principles.
Okay. So actually structuring the company
Yeah, that's a big
in
undertaking.
a way that supports agility.
Right, because that traditional model of a centralized hierarchical organization,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work anymore.
It's too slow, too rigid.
Exactly.
Okay. So what does an agile organization actually look like?
Think of it as a network of interconnected teams,
Okay.
each with a specific mission and the autonomy to achieve it.
Hmm.
Fewer layers of management, more transparency,
Okay.
more fluid communication.
So less bureaucracy, more flexibility.
Exactly, more trust.
Okay.
And that brings us to the third skill,
All right. What is it?
shaping an agile culture.
Oh, culture.
It's essential.
It is, but it can be hard to define.
Yeah.
How do leaders even go about shaping like an agile culture?
It starts with those mindset shifts we talked about.
Okay.
Discovery, partnership, abundance.
Right. Walking the talk,
Exactly.
leading by example.
Leaders need to embody those mindsets themselves
Yeah.
and create an environment where those ways of thinking and behaving are encouraged, reinforced.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond just leading by example.
Okay.
It's about fostering real understanding and conviction throughout the organization.
Okay.
This might involve sharing stories, celebrating successes,
Mm-hmm.
creating opportunities for people to learn from each other.
So you're weaving it into the DNA of the company.
Exactly, making it part of the fabric of the organization.
It's not just a program you roll out. It's got to be embedded,
It's got to be lived.
lived.
And that includes designing systems and processes
Mhm.
that reinforce those values too.
Right. So it's not just talk, it's action.
Actions speak louder than words.
They do.
You can't just talk about agility. You need to create structures that support it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, this whole thing about developing agile leaders throughout an organization, it's a huge undertaking.
It is a massive change.
Where do you even start?
It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
The article suggests a 5-element approach to developing that agile leadership.
Okay.
And they emphasize that it's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix.
Right. It's a journey.
It's a journey.
All right. I'm ready. Tell me about those 5 elements.
Okay, so the first one is having a dedicated team of experienced agile coaches.
Oh.
These are the folks who are like
Yeah.
the Sherpas of agile transformation,
Okay, yeah.
guiding leaders through that unfamiliar terrain.
So they're the experts, the mentors.
Yeah, the cheerleaders.
Okay, so having that support system seems really important.
It's crucial, especially in the early stages.
Okay, what's the next element?
Next is getting the top leadership team
Okay.
fully on board
Right from the start.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
Their commitment and active participation send a powerful message to everyone else.
Right. Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. If the folks at the top aren't walking the talk, it's going to be hard to get anyone else on board.
All right, it's got to start at the top.
Absolutely.
Okay, so buy-in from leadership. That's number 2.
What's number 3?
What's number 3?
Number 3 is creating immersive leadership experiences.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Like, think multi-day workshops,
Yeah.
intensive training sessions, or even longer-term leadership development programs.
Okay, so really getting them immersed in this new way of thinking.
Exactly. Giving leaders the opportunity to really dive deep into those principles and practices.
So it's not just like reading a book,
No.
watching a video. It's about actually experiencing it.
Exactly. It's about providing that transformative learning experience
Okay.
that challenges assumptions,
Yeah.
sparks new ways of thinking, and really equips those leaders with the tools they need
Okay.
to lead differently.
So once leaders have had this immersive learning experience, what's next?
Then it's time to put that learning into action.
Right. Got to apply it.
Yeah, that's where the 4th element comes in.
Providing opportunities for leaders
Yeah.
to apply their new skills in real-world scenarios.
Okay, so like pilot projects or...
Yeah, pilot projects,
Okay.
maybe experimenting with new ways of working within their teams,
Mm-hmm.
or taking on a stretch assignment
Right, getting them out of their comfort zone.
that pushes them out of their comfort zone. Exactly.
So it's about taking that theoretical knowledge
Mhm.
and testing it out.
Yeah, in the real world.
Yeah.
Learning by doing, making mistakes, reflecting,
Yeah, iterating.
iterating, continuously improving.
Okay, so it's not about being perfect. It's about like learning as you go.
Exactly. Embracing that process of experimentation.
Makes sense. And what's the 5th and final element?
This one might sound a little meta,
Okay.
but it's crucial.
All right, I'm intrigued.
Approaching the rollout of this entire leadership development program
Mm-hmm.
with an agile mindset itself.
Oh, okay. So using agile principles
Yes.
to develop agile leaders.
Which in turn helps the organization become more agile.
You got it.
It's like this recursive loop.
It's a virtuous cycle.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's about embracing that iterative experimental approach,
Yeah.
gathering feedback along the way, and adapting the program to meet the evolving needs of the organization.
Okay, so it's not just about, setting a plan in stone and
Mhm.
sticking to it.
No, it's about being flexible and
Yeah.
adapting as you go.
Okay, so that's a pretty comprehensive approach to developing agile leaders.
It's a multifaceted approach.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
all this talk about agile leadership
Yeah.
and organizational transformation is great.
Right.
But I think some listeners might be wondering,
Yeah.
okay, but what does this actually look like in the real world?
Right. You need to see it in practice.
How has this actually worked for companies?
Yeah. You need those real world examples.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
yeah.
It's one thing to talk about concepts,
Right.
but it's another to see them in action. There are tons of companies out there who have successfully embraced these agile principles and transformed the way they work.
Give me an example. Who comes to mind?
One that comes to mind is ING,
Oh, yeah.
the Dutch financial services company.
Yeah, they're a big one.
They are,
Yeah.
and they've gone all in on agile.
Okay, tell me about their story.
All right, so a few years ago, ING was facing some major challenges.
Okay.
The financial services industry was changing rapidly.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced world.
Customer expectations were evolving.
Yeah.
And they realized
Yeah.
that they needed to become much more adaptable and responsive.
So they were that big cruise ship
Right.
trying to navigate a sea of speedboats.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, good.
So they decided to embrace agile and transform their whole organization.
Wow, that's a big commitment.
It was a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
They moved away from those traditional hierarchies.
Okay.
And they created these small, self-managing teams that were empowered to make decisions and deliver value quickly.
Wow, that's a huge shift.
It was a major shift.
How did they manage to pull it off?
It wasn't easy, but they were committed.
Yeah.
They invested heavily in training their employees on agile methodologies, and they really focused on creating a culture of collaboration and continuous learning.
Okay, and what were the results? Did it actually work?
The results were amazing.
Okay, tell me more.
They saw a significant increase in employee engagement.
Oh, wow.
And productivity.
Okay.
They were able to deliver new products and services much faster, and they became much more responsive to customer needs.
So it was a win-win.
It was a huge success.
It shows that even these big established companies can really embrace agile.
Yeah, it's not just for startups.
No, it's for everyone.
And they can reap the benefits.
Yeah. Okay, I'm inspired.
It's a really inspiring story.
Do you have any other examples?
Absolutely. Another inspiring example is Hair, a Chinese appliance manufacturer.
Okay, I've heard of them.
They completely reinvented themselves using agile principles.
Okay, how so?
They transformed from a traditional hierarchical organization into a network of what they call micro-enterprises.
Micro-enterprises? What's that?
So basically, they broke down their massive company into smaller, self-managing units, each with its own profit and loss responsibility.
Wow, that's taking decentralization to a whole new level.
It's radical.
Yeah.
And these micro-enterprises were empowered to make their own decisions, respond quickly to customer needs, and innovate at a rapid pace.
So they were like little mini companies.
They were like little startups within a larger organization.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's a really innovative approach.
And what was the impact of this, like, radical transformation?
Well, the results were remarkable.
Okay.
Their revenues skyrocketed.
Wow.
Their customer satisfaction scores soared. And they became known as one of the most innovative companies in the world.
That's amazing.
It's a truly inspiring story.
These are some incredible success stories.
They are.
But I'm guessing it wasn't all, smooth sailing.
No transformation is without its challenges.
What were some of the challenges these companies faced?
Well, a really common one is resistance to change.
Oh, yeah.
People get comfortable.
Yeah, people like the status quo.
With the way things are.
Yeah.
And any kind of transformation can feel disruptive and unsettling.
That's understandable.
Yeah, change is hard.
Especially when it involves, like, shifting deeply ingrained mindsets.
And ways of working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so resistance to change.
That's a big one.
What else?
Another challenge is finding and developing the right leaders.
Oh, yeah.
Who can champion this new way of working.
Yeah, you need people who get it.
You need people who get it.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just understand the principles. You need to be able to embody them and inspire others.
Right, so it's not just about technical skills, it's about leadership skills.
Exactly. It's about communication, vision, building trust.
Yeah, empowering teams.
Empowering teams, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's important to remember that it's a journey.
Yeah.
Not a destination.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Agile organizations are constantly learning, adapting, and evolving.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It's been great.
Into the world of agile leadership.
It's a complex topic.
It is, but we've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From those fundamental mindset shifts to the practical skills and the organizational changes that are required to lead effectively in today's world.
Yeah, it's a whole new ballgame out there.
It is. It's like the rules have changed.
The rules have definitely changed.
Yeah, and agile leadership is about adapting to those new rules.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the change.
So we've talked about the theory,
right.
But I think it's really helpful to see how this actually plays out in the real world.
I agree.
Can you give me some examples of companies who have successfully made this agile transformation?
Absolutely. One that comes to mind is ING.
Oh, yeah, ING.
The Dutch financial services company.
Okay, they're a big one.
They're a huge company.
Yeah.
And they've really gone all in on agile.
Okay, so tell me their story.
So a few years ago, ING was facing some pretty serious challenges.
Okay.
The financial services industry was changing rapidly.
Yeah. It's a tough industry to be in these days.
It's incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
Customer expectations were evolving.
Right. Everyone wants things faster, better, cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they realized they needed to become much more adaptable and responsive.
Okay, so they were kind of like that big cruise ship we were talking about earlier,
Right.
trying to maneuver in a sea of speedboats.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, good.
So they knew they needed to change.
Yeah.
And they decided to embrace agile.
Okay, so how did they do it?
Well, it was a huge undertaking.
I can imagine.
They moved away from those traditional hierarchies
Okay.
and created small, self-managing teams.
Okay, so they broke down the silos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these teams were empowered to make decisions and deliver value quickly.
Wow, so they gave those teams a lot of autonomy.
They did. They trusted their people.
Okay, and how did that work out for them?
Well, the results were pretty incredible.
Okay, I'm excited to hear this.
They saw a significant increase in employee engagement
Oh, that's great.
and productivity.
Okay.
They were able to deliver new products and services much faster.
Yeah.
And they became much more responsive to customer needs.
So it was a win-win-win.
Absolutely. It was a huge success.
That's so inspiring.
It is.
It shows that even these large established companies can really embrace Agile and see those positive results.
It's not just for startups.
Right. It's for anyone who's willing to make that commitment. Do you have any other examples of companies that have successfully implemented Agile?
Yeah. Another great example is Hair.
Hair. Okay, tell me about them.
They're a Chinese appliance manufacturer.
Okay, I'm familiar with their products.
And they've completely reinvented themselves using agile principles.
Oh, so?
They transformed from a traditional hierarchical organization.
Okay, that's pretty common. We've talked about that.
Yeah, it's a common starting point.
Yeah.
But they took it to a whole new level.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They created what they call a network of micro-enterprises.
Micro-enterprises, what does that even mean?
So basically, they broke down their huge company into these smaller self-managing units.
Okay, so even smaller than the teams at ING.
Even smaller, yeah. And each of these micro-enterprises has its own profit and loss responsibility.
So they're like little mini companies within the larger organization.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
And they're empowered to make their own decisions, respond quickly to customer needs, and innovate at a very rapid pace.
So it's like a whole ecosystem of little startups.
It's a really innovative approach.
Yeah, so what was the impact of this radical transformation?
Well, the results speak for themselves.
Okay, give me the highlights.
Their revenues have skyrocketed.
Wow.
Their customer satisfaction scores have gone through the roof.
Okay.
And they're now considered one of the most innovative companies in the world.
So their radical approach really paid off.
It did. It was a huge success.
That's amazing.
It's a really inspiring story.
So we've got ING and Hair.
Two great examples.
As examples of companies that have really successfully implemented Agile.
And they've seen incredible results.
But I'm guessing, it wasn't always easy.
No, it's never a smooth journey.
What were some of the challenges they faced along the way?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is resistance to change.
Oh, yeah.
People get comfortable with the way things are.
Yeah, change is hard.
It is. It's human nature.
Yeah.
And any kind of transformation can feel disruptive and unsettling.
Right. People might feel like they're losing control.
Exactly.
Or that their jobs are at risk.
There's fear of the unknown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's really important for leaders to address that resistance.
Okay, how do they do that?
Well, communication is key.
Okay.
You need to clearly explain the reasons for the change.
Yeah.
Paint a compelling vision of the future, and involve people in the process as much as possible.
So it's about bringing them along on the journey.
Exactly.
Rather than just, imposing change from above.
It's about collaboration and transparency.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another challenge is finding and developing the right leaders.
Ah, yes, the people factor.
Exactly.
That's always crucial.
You need leaders who truly understand Agile.
Yeah.
And can embody those principles.
So they can walk the talk.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and inspire others to do the same.
Right, it's not just about having the technical skills.
Yeah.
It's about having the leadership skills as well.
Absolutely. It's about communication, vision, empathy.
Yeah, all those soft skills.
Those soft skills are crucial.
Yeah, they're essential for building trust and creating a culture
Exactly.
where people feel empowered to do their best work.
And that's what Agile is all about.
It's about creating a more human-centric way of working.
Exactly.
So those are some of the challenges.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are many more.
Every organization is different,
Right.
and they face their own unique challenges.
Yeah, but it seems like the benefits of Agile
Mm-hmm.
can really outweigh those challenges.
Absolutely. The potential is huge.
Yeah, when it's done right.
When it's done right.
Okay, so we've talked about the theory of Agile leadership.
All right.
We've seen some examples of companies that have successfully implemented it,
Mm-hmm.
and we've talked about some of the challenges.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to bring it back to our listeners.
I think that's important.
What are the key takeaways here?
Yeah.
What can they actually do with this information?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the most important takeaways is that agile leadership is not just about tools and techniques.
Right, it's deeper than that.
It's a whole new way of thinking and being.
A mindset shift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it requires leaders to really embrace those 3 key shifts we talked about.
Okay, so remind me, what were those again?
From certainty to discovery,
Oh.
from authority to partnership,
Okay.
and from scarcity to abundance.
From scarcity to abundance. Yeah, those are powerful shifts.
They are, and they're not always easy.
Right. Change is hard.
But they're essential for leading effectively in today's world.
Yeah, the world is changing so fast.
And it's only going to get faster.
So leaders need to be able to adapt.
They need to be agile.
They do. They need to be like those speedboats.
Zipping and dodging.
Yeah, navigating those whitewater rapids.
Exactly.
So those are the mindset shifts.
Mm-hmm.
What about the practical skills?
Right. So in terms of skills, agile leaders need to be really good at building diverse, empowered, and connected teams.
Okay, so remind me what that means in practice.
Well, it means creating a culture where everyone feels valued, respected, and heard.
Mm-hmm.
It means giving people the autonomy to make decisions and take ownership of their work.
Right, trusting them to do their jobs.
Exactly. And it means breaking down silos and fostering collaboration.
So everyone's working together towards a common goal.
Precisely.
Okay, and the last skill we talked about was keeping teams focused on the customer.
Oh, that's crucial.
It is, but it's easy to lose sight of that.
Especially when you're caught up in the day-to-day.
Right. All the deadlines and the to-do lists.
So agile leaders need to constantly remind their teams
Yeah.
why they're doing what they're doing.
And who they're ultimately serving.
Exactly, whether it's an internal or external customer.
Right. Got to keep that customer at the center of everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. So those are the key skills. And we also talked about some pretty significant organizational changes.
We did. We talked about defining a shared purpose.
The North Star.
The North Star, yes.
Yeah.
And designing the organization using agile principles.
Right. So moving away from those traditional hierarchies.
Exactly. And creating more flexible, adaptable structures.
And finally, shaping an agile culture.
Which is all about embedding those agile values and principles into the DNA of the organization.
It's a big undertaking.
It is, but the results can be transformative.
We've seen that with companies like ING and Hair.
Right. They're great examples.
But I think it's important to remember that this is a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely. There's no finish line when it comes to agile.
It's about continuous improvement.
Continuous learning, continuous adaptation.
And I think that's a really important takeaway for our listeners.
I agree.
Agile leadership is not something you achieve overnight.
No.
It's a process.
It's an ongoing journey.
And it requires a willingness to experiment, to learn, and to adapt.
And to embrace change.
Exactly.
To see it as an opportunity.
So for all our listeners out there
Yes.
who are intrigued by this idea of agile leadership,
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you to start exploring.
Yeah.
Experiment with these concepts. See what works for you.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. Find your own way.
Find what works for your team, for your organization.
And remember, it's a journey.
It is, and it's a journey worth taking.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's deep dive into agile leadership.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. It's been a great conversation.
It has.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading with agility.
Couldn't have said it better myself.